Oh, hello everyone. Thanks for listening today. Today this video is going to go being over what Hannah Arendt might have thought about ICE today, or the Immigration Custom Enforcement Organization. It was founded before Trump, but it's really been in the news with the Trump administration. All right, although Hannah Arendt died decades before the creation of modern U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, her political philosophy offers a framework for speculating how she might have viewed the agency. Based on her writings on statelessness, human rights, and the banality of evil, she would likely have been profoundly critical of ICE, perceiving it as a symptom of a much deeper crisis in the nation-state system. Critic of statelessness and the right to have rights. A central theme in Arendt's work was the plight of the stateless, drawing from her own experiences as a German Jewish refugee. In her book, The Origins of Totalitarianism, she coined the phrase, the right to have rights, to describe the most fundamental political right, to belong to an organized community where one is judged by one's actions and opinions. Arendt observed that when people lose their national political status, they become extractly human and are denied the protection of human rights. Without a state to guarantee their rights, the stateless become the most vulnerable people on earth. Arendt would likely see the detainees in ICE facilities, many of whom are refugees and asylum seekers, as modern-day stateless people. She would argue that in denying these individuals due process and a legal pathway to remain in the country, the U.S. government is effectively stripping them of their right to have rights, by bureaucracy and the banality of evil. Arendt's analysis of the Holocaust, particularly her reporting on the trial of Adolf Eichmann, led her to develop the concept of banality of evil, the idea that great evil can be committed by ordinary people who simply follow orders within an impersonal bureaucratic system. She warned that an unchecked bureaucracy, or the rule of nobody, is a form of government where nobody can be held responsible. Arendt might recognize this phenomenon in ICE's enforcement actions, where individual officers carry out policies handed down from a complex chain of command. An Arendtian critic of ICE might focus on how the agency's large, centralized bureaucracy can enable acts of cruelty and dehumanization. In this system, personal responsibility is diffused, and officers who carry out deportations or other enforcement measures can feel absolved of guilt by claiming they were just doing their job. This bureaucratic logic, she would argue, allows otherwise mundane individuals to participate in oppressive systems without fully engaging with the moral consequences of their actions. A deepening crisis of the nation-state. In Arendt's view, the refugee crisis after World War I exposed a fundamental paradox of the nation-state system. The rights of citizens are prioritized over universal human rights. She noted that the international community and human rights organizations often fail to protect the stateless because these institutions ultimately depend on the cooperation of sovereign nation-states. She would likely not see ICE as an aberration, but as a predictable symptom of this ongoing crisis. In asserting its sovereign right to control its borders and expel non-citizens, the U.S. government reinforces the very system that creates rightless people. She might also point out that the language used to justify restrictive policies and inflame resentment against the immigrants is a dangerous tool that undermines the shared political world. Thank you for listening. Yep, I got this information using artificial intelligence to determine what Hannah Arendt might have thought about today's ICE, or Immigration Custom Enforcement. That's being used more abundantly by Trump than other previous organizations, at least recently. I believe it was started right after 9/11, so it's been around, but it's really in the news more so lately. But thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.